I won't be talking over you, so this can be done in like 10 minutes or it can be done in 20. All right. So we're going to be choosing the best type of function to model sets of data. Now the calculator, what we're going to be doing in the calculator is making a scatter plot, which you have likely never done before. So that is going to be brand spanking new. And that is to determine the shape that would best model these. Now, could you ideally do them by hand? Yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing you wouldn't really want to. So I will be teaching you how to do that. Now, in this box is going to be the steps that you will use in case you forget. Once we have it in a particular mode, you won't have to reset the calculator every time. It was just in case there were any things going on. So recall that linear, quadratic, and exponential functions grow differently. So linear would be a straight line. If it's a scatter plot, it should be close to a linear shape to it. Quadratic ones have the full U shape going on, either arching up or the U shape going down. And then the exponential functions, it will be flat on one side and spike up or spike down. So once we do these scatter plots, you will be determining which shape is going on. Okay. So we're going to be doing the steps on this first one. So you should have reset your calculator. If you ever need to reset it, maybe write down how to do that. Okay. So you hit second, the plus sign, 7, 1, 2, and that just takes you through the different menus. Okay, instead of scrolling everywhere. So that is to reset the calculator if it's not formatting right. Now the other thing I'm going to need to show you how to do is adjust your window. So this is going to depend on the numbers that you're given. So just FYI. So you'll have to adjust that. So to start with, we're going to enter this information into the calculator. So you have your X column, or X row rather, and your Y row. So we're going to go to our calculator. You'll see the stat button. It's 2 to the right of the green one. All right. Now it's already on edit, so you can just hit enter. Now, if you reset the calculator, these should be completely blank. Okay, I'll show you how to clear them later if you were doing that. Now L1 needs to be, that would be list 1, but L1 needs to be all the X values in order, and then you have to make sure in L2 that the Y values are lined up accordingly. Okay, so go through, they're on your paper. So we have -5, whoops, that's not the right one. Make sure you use negative, not minus. You just hit each number and enter as you go through. -4. You just arrow over to the L2 column. Make sure, for instance, -3 is lined up with -5. Make sure the right X coordinates and Y coordinates are lined up. So in that list on your paper, we've done steps 1 through 3 as of this point. Are we all caught up to this point? All right, so you're going to hit second Y equals. Okay, you'll notice up here in blue it says stat plot. Okay. That's what we're doing. Now there's a lot of different menus, but we are going to do stat plot 1. So since 1 is highlighted, just hit enter again. And now right now off is highlighted. You want to highlight on, so when it's flashing, just hit enter and it will turn on. Now one thing you want to just at least double check. So I think even the older ones, does it give you like a little scatter plot option? Make sure X list is L1, Y list is L2. And then if you have the newer calculators, it gives you color options. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So once that's turned on, we need to adjust our window or we're not going to see anything on the graph. Okay. So now we're going to go to window. Okay. Now, what's your smallest x value? On your paper. -5. So we can do -5 all the way through 4. So the x min would be the lowest x value. If you want to do just one extra, so you have a little bit of space, you can do -6. And then we can go to +5. Now, where it says x, SCL, that's the scale of the x values. Now, that span is not very big. It's just -5 to 4. So we can just go by 1s. But if you wanted it to go by 2s, that's where you would put it. Okay, and it's going to vary depending on how big your numbers are. But you can adjust the scale of that one. I'm not going to. What's our smallest y value? -3. So if you want to just give it a little bit extra space, you can do -4. Okay. What's the highest y? 31. So if you want, you can go to 31 exactly, but if you want to give it a little bit of space, 32. You can do the scale by 1 or 2. So just for practice, I'll just change it to 2s. So the x values are going to go by 1s across the bottom. Y values are going to go by 2s. But it doesn't matter as long as you can see the shape. Okay. Questions as of this point? So you can adjust it depending on the numbers you have. All right. Now if you hit graph, a scatter plot will show up. Okay. What shape is it? Linear, quadratic, or exponential? Exponential. Okay. Quadratic would be a full U shape. Notice that this half is linear, and then it starts to curve. If it was a full U, that's quadratic. But if it's just going up in one direction and curving one way, that is exponential model. Okay. So this first one is going to be exponential. So this is in place of you actually physically plotting those to see. Do you prefer this? Yeah. Does it take a few minutes? Yes. Okay. But it's a little bit faster than drawing it on paper and trying to be detailed. Okay. All right. Now I need to show you how to clear out the lists, but that is how we're going to do the next one too. Okay, so yes, the calculator is doing a lot of work, but if you mess up a certain number of things, it's going to throw it off. So you have to make sure everything's very exact. Now that we've turned on that stat plot, you don't have to return it on every time. So now all we need to do is go back to stat. We'll maybe adjust our window depending on our numbers. But other than that, everything's set up, ready to go. So if we go back to stat for our second one, okay, we're going to enter in this table this time. Now, in doing this, so you're still going back to edit, now your old lists are in there. Okay. So I don't have this on the paper, but to clear them out instead of you resetting the calculator every time, which you could do, so then you have to return back on the stat plot and all that stuff. If you arrow up to where the list is highlighted, press the clear button and enter, it will wipe it out. Okay. Your other option is to delete every individual one, which could take a minute. So again, highlight it, hit clear, and enter. Okay. So if you want to write that down, if you feel like you may forget, say arrow up to list name, clear, enter. All right, so this one is -2 through +6 in the X column. Again, make sure each Y is lined up with its corresponding X. That tends to be the biggest issue. Where do we go after we do this? The stat plot's already turned on. you need to adjust your window because all the points are not going to fit. Because we have all the way up through 66.3 on the y's, and we have to go at least through 6 on the x's. So you go to window. Now if you want to adjust the x's a little bit, I just go one past usually, but you don't have to. You can go exactly from -2 to 6. Our lowest y value is 3.8, so if you want to just put 0, that's fine. Okay. I'm not changing the scale of those. And I was just going to go to 67 because 66.3 is close enough to that. Do you guys want to adjust your scale at all for the y? You can go by 5s if you want to. It's not going to adjust the shape at all. But if you want to keep it by 1s, you can do that. I would say if it gets, I think one of your homework problems, which is online by the way, it's like 17,000 something, I would not go by 1s. Okay, maybe go by 1000s or 500s. Okay, graph. Okay. What shape is that? Exponential again. Now, just a heads up, okay, if it's ever in this mode for scatter plots and you would want to go back and graph a line, if you go to y equals, see how plot 1 at the top is highlighted? Okay, you can actually turn it on and off there also instead of going to second y equals. It's the same spot. Okay. But I would encourage you to come here anyway, just to make sure the x list and the y list are correct, just in case. But if anything ever gets weird, reset it completely. Okay. Now, if you don't have your own version of these and you use that app on your phone when you're at home, it's a similar process and it's in the same locations. The buttons might just be slightly different. So what I would encourage you to do is actually try and get your homework done in class so you don't have to worry about it. Okay. So